Okay, hey, welcome back. Today I want to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. And I have a friend on Facebook who goes by the name Al Mack, probably not his full name. He used to be known as Norwest Prophetic. And he posts little interesting articles and stuff like that on his Facebook page, which for the most part I find really blessing and beneficial and interesting. He mentioned a term one time that I thought was really interesting, and it was weapons grade Thanksgiving. And I'm sure he got it from somewhere else, but I found it really fascinating, and I knew in an instant exactly what that meant. And if you don't know what that means, let me back up and just talk about Thanksgiving and how important it is. We're admonished in the Bible in all things to give thanks. In all things to give thanks. But so many people get stuck, and I've done it myself, complaining. And it's easy to get trapped in that cycle of complaining. Some people, that's just how they communicate with each other. Oh, you know, they try and outdo each other with complaints. Oh, the weather sucks today. Oh yeah, well, you know, my job sucks. And it's terrible. And science has found that the more you complain, your brain will actually rewire neurological pathways to make it easier for you to complain. And then your brain sees everything as a reason to complain. And complaining leads to fear, and fear is negative faith. It's faith for the things that you don't want to happen. And so what you'll see evidenced in people's lives that complain all the time is the things that they complain about, the things that they fear, are the things that are always coming upon them. And if you think about it, you might know some people like that in your circle of influence. But conversely, if you begin to catch yourself and give thanks, just be thankful. Your brain will start to rewire new neural pathways, and then you start to see the world around you in a whole new light. So this is what's going on in the natural, which, you know, if that's the only thing going on, there's a good reason to start giving thanks, to look on the bright side of things. Look for things to be thankful for. But here's what's going on in the spiritual, and why the term weapons grade Thanksgiving is so cool. The enemy will use things in your life, circumstances in your life, to provoke you, to bring on fear, depression, and complaining. Now keep in mind, complaining was one of the things that got Israel in big trouble. God just brought them out of Egypt, and almost right away they started complaining about it. You know, oh God, we don't have the leeks and cucumbers like we used to have. All we got to eat is this manna. I'm getting sick of this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And every one of them died in the desert. God said, you are not going to the promised land. And they just circled around until all of the original people that left Egypt had died. Then he brought their kids in. So God is not a fan of complaining. The enemy will use the circumstances in your life to bring out complaining, or to create fear and overwhelm you with fear and anxiety. And here's where weapons grade Thanksgiving comes into play. Because as the enemy tries to bring these things up, and even if you're not aware all the time that this is the enemy, sometimes circumstances pop up in your life, and you start to dwell on them and think about them, and you go to a friend and, oh, I really need prayer, blah, 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 blah. But it's all negative focus. It's all like apprehension about this circumstance that's going on. If you refuse to, I am not going to say anything negative about this circumstance. God has called me to be above my circumstances. And so that's where you can begin. Thank you, Father, that you've called me to be above my circumstances. Just begin to give thanks. Rapid machine gun thanks. I do this a lot because I'm in my car all the time. So it's easy for me to I'll give you a real life, for instance. I have an ongoing dispute with the state regarding supposed payroll taxes that I don't think I owe. They say I owe them, whatever. But the state is powerful, and if they really want to, they can shut my business down and stuff like that. And so they'll send me documents, and the enemy uses those right away to create anxiety. But immediately I have to catch myself and go, I'm not going to dwell on this, because it'll take over me, and I'll spend 3 days fretting and worrying about what am I going to do, all the stuff that fear creates in you. I'm not going to do it. I start giving God thanks that He's put me in this place. He's established me in my business. He gives me the ability to flourish above my circumstances. And what that does is, one, it takes your mind off the problem and on the solution. And two, if you begin to make a habit of this, not only, like we said, in the natural, your brain will rewire and you'll begin to always give thanks. The enemy doesn't like it, because Thanksgiving is really a form of worship. So every time that he pushes you with some circumstance or situation in your life to create anxiety, depression, fear, whatever it is he wants to create and overwhelm you, you turn and start worshiping God. It won't take him very long to connect one and one together and go, this is a bad situation. Every time I try and work something in this person's life, they start worshiping God and they will leave you alone. They cannot afford that kind of damage. And so they will just, after a while, that's weapons grade thanksgiving. They will realize that you've turned thanksgiving, again, as a form of praise, into a weapon that you now focus on them. Or it's not focused on them, but they don't like the results of all that worship and thanksgiving. And so they will begin to take wide berth around you. They don't want to upset you and get you worshiping God. And you know what? Once you start to get in that habit, you will find they don't even have to bother you. You're just, hey, what a glorious day. Hey, thank you, Father, for this. The weather's perfect. I only have to work half a day. I can go to the lake, whatever it is. You know, you start finding things to give thanks for, and everything changes. Everything takes a little tweak. I've said it before, and I'm not trying to be glib, but I live in the world just like everybody else. Things happen to me. But because I tend to look and give thanks for a lot of stuff, it seems to me that nothing bad ever happens. I'm reading the news going, man, there's bad news everywhere. I feel like there's pianos falling all around me and I'm just la-di-da through life and nothing bad ever happens. It's not because bad things don't happen, it's because I don't perceive them as bad things. I'm always trying to look for reasons to thank the Father. And I've got a lot of reasons to be thankful. So I hope this helps. Begin to catch yourself and employ weapons grade thanksgiving. You will not be disappointed. Be blessed.